Today is October 6th. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey. And hey, this postseason we are brought to you by Munganast St. Louis Acura, Royal Banks of Missouri, and Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton, Illinois. They got that peel and eat shrimp out there and so much seating indoors and out to watch those Cardinal games all weekend long. Right there in Alton, Illinois. Rammer, no game today throughout all of baseball. Kind of the calm before the storm as we wait and get ready for the first pitch of tomorrow's action. Cardinals will be the second game on the docket. We will be coming your way before the game tomorrow, and we know who will be throwing that first pitch for the Cardinals. It'll be Jose Cantano getting the ball in game one.
It's funny, when we knew that the Cardinals had clinched, and it appeared that it was going to be the Phillies, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, last week, whatever. My first initial reaction was Quintana 1, Michaelis 2. And then what happens is you start analyzing and look at numbers and looking at possibilities, and I sort of changed my mind. So I'm glad Ollie ended up going where my initial thoughts were. Go with the lefty to do your best to neutralize Schwarber and Harper. And it makes sense. And then if you're fortunate enough to get to round 2, you've got Michaelis starting at home in game 3. So my gut feeling initially turned out to be correct, or if not correct, certainly in line with Ollie Marmol.
I mean, how good does this make John Mozeliak look for his deadline deal? That a guy that he went out and he got at the deadline when everybody else wanted Juan Soto, and instead he goes and gets Jose Quintana. That the guy has pitched so well that it's not by default. He has earned this spot for game one. And by the way, that the whole earning of spots, we'll talk more about that. That's going to be a theme here on the show today. But I mean, it really
been a pre-show meeting. I don't know what that means. So I'll follow along. You know what's interesting is I think John Mozeliak's in-season moves the last 2 years have been brilliant. We can argue about that he get himself enough in the off season and that sort of thing, but if you follow along with him, other than big trades in the off season, typically he's going to sort of piece together a team, get it into spring training, maybe a little tweak at the end of spring training, and then not panic. Let's see what we got. Well, this is my team. We'll let it play out. And then by the end of June, middle of June, kind of determine what he needs. And then by the trade deadline, make his moves. And that's just, you may not like it as a fan, but that's his MO. And there are a few exceptions, but really not very many over his tenure.
Yeah, Jose Cantano, just to look at the numbers for him, he has been with the Cardinals all of August and all of September. In his starts in August, in 6 of those starts, he allowed 2 runs. In 5 of them, he allowed 1 earned run in 1 of those starts. And then the calendar turned to September. Here are the run or earned runs that he allowed in the month of September. 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. That is what Jose Quintana has brought to the St. Louis Cardinals here in the final 2 months of the season, pushing them to the spot that they're in right now with 93 victories on the season.
So if you want to look for an Achilles heel for Quintana, it's that he typically doesn't go deep into games in postseason. And while I don't necessarily agree with this trend in postseason, managers have a much quicker hook than the regular season. Understandable, but sometimes they do it as a plan rather than what they're seeing on the field and using metrics. Having said all that, I started to get off on a little soapbox there. Having said that, you really figure you're counting on 5 stellar innings from Quintana. Can he go 6 or 7? Let's see how it goes. But you're counting on 5 and ready to bridge innings in innings 6, 7, and 8.
Funny you mentioned that about going to the bullpen early because we do know, as we just mentioned, that Miles Michaelis will be your Game 2 starter.
Yeah.
And slowly, we don't have the full 26-man roster yet, but we have bits and pieces. We have enough to kind of realize who is going to make an impact. I kind of feel like we know who the pitchers are going to be. They mentioned that Game 3 starter, if necessary, is to be determined, but they will have Adam Wainwright, Jack Flaherty, and Jordan Montgomery all ready to go and to start there. You also have Steven Matz, who was in the rotation at the start of the year. So you have 4 starters that will be in the bullpen just in case there's something you see in Michaelis or Cantano, you go, you know what? Maybe today's not their day. We need to go to the pen quick.
Depending on the situation, and that always matters, that I really like a couple of our middle inning guys that are already there, especially somebody like Woodford and Thompson. I really like both of those guys as bridge players. So we'll see how they play it. I think you got to be real careful. It's almost a panic move, I think, to go to starters in games where you have guys who have been doing it and moreover, doing it very well. Mm. The guys you've mentioned, Flaherty, and Montgomery and Waino, they've been okay, or maybe not so okay. So to me, it doesn't automatically make them the answer in the 6th inning. I don't buy that. So we'll see how Ollie plays it and how it plays out.
So if you follow Katie Wu on Twitter at Katie J Wu, you've seen all of these posts already, all of these tweets about who is on the roster, what we know as far as the roster goes. First off, the one that we know will not be on the roster, and that is Tyler O'Neill. So we know that he is not healthy enough, that that hamstring is not fully healed for him to be on the postseason roster. Because of the way the call-ups work, we know that JoJo Romero and Dakota Hudson will also not be on the roster for the wild card round here this weekend. We also know those two will not be available for the wild card round in Atlanta if the Cardinals make it past here this weekend. We do know, as I already mentioned, Steven Matz is on the roster. Zach Thompson has been told that he is also on the roster. So that's another left-handed arm out of the bullpen. But here's the big one that you and I have debated back and forth with. It seems like for the past week now, that as to whether or not he will be on the roster. I've been all for it. I know you've been against it. Nolan Gorman will be on the playoff roster this weekend for the Cardinals. I think it's a good move, but I know that you haven't thought so by what he's done this past month or so.
None of your candidates are good bench players. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Nobody can hit.
Yeah.
What difference does it make? So is it going to be 14 position players or 13? So, you got Kisner and Yepes, okay? And I just assume Dickerson gets the start against the right-handed pitchers. Yeah. So you got Yepes and Kisner. Well, if it's 13 players, you only got 2 more spots left.
Right.
Right? And so if Gorman's one of them, who's the other one? Is it Deluzio? You want another left-handed hitter in the big kid, or do you want to go with the young? Now, if it's 14 and you got 3 more players, then you can kind of play around with it a little bit and decide about your infield. But it sounds like with all the pitchers they're keeping, they're going to go with 13 pitchers. It feels like it. Damn. So that means you got 4 on the bench. So who are your 2 guys? Gorman and
right. You said Deluzio. I mean,
I think Deluzio, but I don't know what they think.
It makes sense. Late in games, Deluzio comes in and runs for Pujols. That makes sense to me. Late in the or Yachty late in the games with Kisner there. But I also think, and it's something to talk about this weekend. I think Kisner is going to be catching Michaelis on Saturday. I think Kisner is going to be getting that start in game 2 of this weekend. Mentioning Pujols, this is what I was talking. that he is going to be playing in the postseason. And hey, for the second year in a row, Albert Pujols is playing in the postseason. Neither one of those were with the Angels. Last year with the Dodgers, this year now back in St. Louis with the Cardinals. Oli Marmol said today he will be in the starting lineup today. And we've as he's chased 700, we've talked about him, batting up in the order, getting more at bats, trying to get to that number, and he ran past it 703 by the end of the regular season. Which, by the way, our friend Frank Cusimano caught up with Alex Rodriguez down at the field today, and A-Rod even just said, no, he didn't just pass me. He left me. He left me in the dust with that. So check that out. Frank on Channel 5 had a one-on-one with Alex Rodriguez. Albert Pujols is going to be the starting DH this weekend. 100% earned it with his play in the second half. This is no longer is he just being gifted stuff to reach a number. He is a huge threat in the order, and he has proved that since the All-Star break.
Yeah, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I can't imagine somebody taking an alternative viewpoint.
No, there isn't.
Not only has he earned the DH spot every day, he's your best hitter.
Yep.
That's why I think, and with all due respect to my friend and the best baseball guy we know in the media, Rick Hummel, Hall of Famer, he's talking about Pujols hitting sixth. I don't see that. And maybe they'll do it to lengthen the lineup, but to have your best hitter hitting sixth, as we like to say in the country, don't make no sense. How can you have your best hitter hitting sixth?
Dickerson against righties, batting fifth.
No, you didn't hear. I'm going to say.
I know.
How can your best hitter hit sixth?
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying when you play the matchups like that, that's the only reason it makes sense to me, and we have seen them do that time and time again. So,
my point is, and I know you're trying to say what the alternative is, they'll be wrong. I don't care who's pitching. Right-hander, left-hander, submariner, a soccer player kicking the ball to the plate. A softball. I don't care.
Jenny Finch did strike him out. So
tell me a scenario right now in today's reality where you would want Dickerson hitting instead of Pujols.
I would agree with you. Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Set. Zed, nil.
Yeah. We, also looking at it, you mentioned Corey Dickerson. He probably will be starting too tomorrow. He'll probably be in left field starting tomorrow for the Cardinals, and he too he has 100% earned that spot in the starting lineup tomorrow with with the run that he had, but with Tyler O'Neill being hurt,
he's been terrible. He's been terrible. He didn't earn it. It's like, who else we got?
Of the guys there.
Look, we've got the bunting up on the top.
We do. That's real nice, isn't it?
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
And I like it. But hey, can he run? Maybe he's our Joey Gallo. Maybe he can run into a couple of things. Maybe he can get hot again. We saw him get hot out of nowhere 2 months ago. Maybe he can get hot out of nowhere again. The Cardinals are going to need. See, I don't even think it's Dickerson. I think the young guys, Donovan, Edman, and Nootbaar, those three have to go off. And if they do, they'll be the heroes because your big three are going to do their thing. I don't think the Cardinals can win it with three guys. But if you get those six guys going, now we can go deep into the month.
Rammer, we'll be coming to you tomorrow about an hour before the game, an hour before first pitch. Give me your starting lineup for tomorrow. Who's leading off? We know where 3 and 4 are. Give me the rest of that lineup for tomorrow.
You want me to guess what it's going to be?
I want you to. Who's going to be leading off tomorrow? Yes.
Oh, Donovan will lead off.
Who bats second then?
I think Edmonds earned it. I think it'll be Edman, either Edman or Nootbaar, but I think it'll be Tommy. He's swinging a little better from the left side, and Nootbaar probably hits ninth because his ability to draw walks.
I was just going to say, if that's the case, then you have Carlson batting seventh, Yachty batting eighth, and then whoever between Edman and Nootbaar batting ninth in the order for tomorrow.
However, if whoever hits second doesn't look good, I have got to consider in games 2 or 3 and 3 that I've got, if my ancillary players, my ancillary 6 players aren't getting it done, I've got to consider overloading the top of the lineup.
Yeah.
That's got to be always a possibility. Donovan, Goldschmidt, Pujols, Arenado. I don't think they'll do it tomorrow. I wouldn't do it tomorrow, but I'll consider it if guys hit the way they've been hitting the last week or so.
I would not be surprised one bit if it's Goldschmidt 2, Arenado 3, Pujols 4.
Well, it's what
tomorrow.
the Phillies do. It's what the Phillies do.
And it's what the Cardinals tried to do at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
We've seen them do it. They tried to go Goldschmidt, O'Neill, Arenado at the beginning of the year, and it didn't work out. So we've seen them try it before.
The Phillies go Schwarber, Reese, Hoskins, and Harper. That's their best. Yeah. Well, Real Muto, they got 4 guys. So they can mix it, but they're top power guys at the top.
We'll also see tomorrow too. Look for old friend Edmundo Sosa's name on the Phillies playoff roster, but not sure. Yeah,
he's got a hammy as well.
You know what? I mean, I want him to, just because he was a good guy here and everything. You want him to be healthy. I don't want him coming back for vengeance though against the Cardinals in a series. I don't want to see that, Rammer.
Well, you got that and the Veerling playing in front of the home crowd. So you got 2 guys with St. Louis ties. It'll be interesting.
We will be coming your way tomorrow in the 12 o'clock hour. First pitch 1:07 for Cardinals and Phillies, game 1 of the weekend wild card series. And it'll be brought to you every single day of the Cardinals postseason by Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton, Illinois, Royal Banks of Missouri, and Munganass St. Louis Acura, and Rammer also Munganass Alton Toyota. Hey, if the Cardinals advance past this round, I'm going to be going and picking up a car from Munganass Alton Toyota and driving that down to Atlanta for
nice.
Games 1 and 2 of the NLDS. Thank you to Jamie out there at Munganass Alton Toyota and also Munganass St. Louis Acura. You too can rent a Toyota. Go to their website, altontoyota.com, search for Rent a Toyota, and hey, they can hook you up with a rental car for cheaper than what you get at one of those big rental car companies. Check it out, altontoyota.com. He is Bob Ramsey. I am Joe Roderick. This has been Daily Cards Live, the postseason edition, right here on ClaibsOnline.com.
From our roots in St. Louis, Royal Banks of Missouri is branching out to continue serving you with our locations in St. Charles, Jerseyville, Granite City, and now in Hannibal, Center, and New London. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank in your community.